Greetings and salutations, folks. I'm Josh from Layzee Acres. Thank you for tuning in. We are saving the world here, one trailer at a time. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a walkthrough / orientation video on the Grand Design Transcend. Haven't done one of these in a couple years. This is not a sales related video. This is more of a how to use your Transcend. This particular one we're doing today is a 260 RB. But these kind of principles and things are going to apply to other models, of course, within Transcend. I'm here with my friend, the Dutch bad boy, Brendan Hannemeyer, on the camera today.
How's it going, happy campers? Congratulations. If you're watching this video, you are either a new proud owner of a Transcend, thinking about owning a Transcend, and that's super exciting. We have a like button, we have a subscribe button. It's completely free to do that, so we wouldn't mind if you hit the subscribe button. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, and we're on Facebook. We're having fun on all the platforms. I hope you enjoy this informative video. A little different.
Right on. This is going to be so cutting edge, Brendan. You're going to be sharpening your fingernails. And because this is service related, I'm going to throw a trucker style hat on just to make sure you guys believe at home that I know what I'm talking about. We have a bunch of stuff going on up front here. So we have a front power jack on these Transcends. Every single one of them is going to have it. On off switch for the light. That's to light up things at nighttime, easy peasy. Extend and retract. What we're doing there is we're extending and retracting the leg. So if we're pushing extend, that means we're lifting the trailer up. We've done a video on like weight distributions and stuff like that. So this is particularly helpful for taking the pressure off those weight distribution bars. Check that out if you need to. Right here we have the rest of our hookup. So this is a 2 5/16 ball. It's a 2 5/16 ball on any Transcend model. It's not a 3-inch, it's not 2 5/8, it's a 2 5/16 ball. You need a couple things. You need the ball to come in here. You need to lock this coupler in place and put a pin in through this coupler. If you don't have a pin in this coupler, it's unsafe. You have to have a pin in this coupler. Then, for your chains, these chains need to crisscross underneath the hitch. So we take the one from this side over to that side, hook up to the truck. Take this one over to the other side. Bingo bango. We've also got a breakaway cable. This goes back to the breakaway cable box right in through here, and this basically jams on the brakes full speed. So if the trailer becomes unhitched from the truck, boom, that pops on. It's going to jam your brakes on so the trailer doesn't follow you down the road. This needs to go on with a separate link. It cannot hook onto your chains. It has to go onto a separate link on your truck. Then we have a 7-way cable. This is necessary for pulling a Transcend. This is going to plug into the back of the truck. That activates your lights, your brakes, all that kind of stuff. Not only do you need a 7-way connector on your vehicle, you also need a brake controller. That's got to be done at a garage. We can do that sometimes, but most likely it's done at a garage of some kind. The brake controller controls the amount of amperage that goes through this 7-way. You need to have a brake controller. That plugs in, 7-way hookup. So there's 4 things: 7-way, chains, breakaway, and pin. All those make you legal for towing down the road. Now, what we've done is I've just grabbed a battery off a used trailer and we've hooked it up here at the front. On all these Transcends, red is positive, black is negative. If you hook these up backwards, you're going to fry fuses in your converter. So you need to make sure you pay attention. Red is positive, black is negative. These have to be hooked up and tightened down. They can't just be sitting here loose like your Uncle Josh just did, okay? These have to be tight and tightened down with a wrench because you can sometimes get arcing and then you lose amperage and juice in there. So these have to be tight. When you get your Transcend from Layzee Acres, it's going to come with a battery box. I didn't have one of those here today, so I'm just having the battery sitting here loose. Tight. Now, for winter, you bring your battery inside. You don't leave it outside here and let it freeze. That's important. You don't store it on a concrete floor. You store it on a piece of wood. Your battery, when you're not using the trailer, we have a solar panel on this, so this is kind of hit and miss, but most people, when they're not using the trailer, they'll take off their negative lead off the battery, and the battery won't draw down. Because we have the solar panel, though, we're charging the battery, so I don't know if that's necessary. If you want to be safe, disconnect the battery. Otherwise, leave it hooked up. But it's really important that you bring it inside for winter. That's important. Brandon, how do you think we're doing on the front side here?
I think we've done very well.
Okay.
Propane tanks, maybe?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Now, I don't mind, folks, if you want to skip through certain parts of this. I won't be offended at all.
I'll be a little bit, but
okay.
we'll get past it.
These are new tanks sent from the factory. They're empty. So we're gonna put a tank on here with propane. Thread this off, just to loosen that up. Unhook this. Lift this off to the side. Put this up. Tighten this back down. There's little grooves here that the collar fits into. Fit those in. And you want to tighten this down. Don't need to use a wrench, but you want to make sure it's hand tight. We're going to thread this on. And slowly turn on our propane. If you just crank it open, there's actually a ball valve in here that can pop in and won't let propane go through. So you're going to open your propane tanks slowly. This switch right here is pointing at the tank that has propane. So you'll notice there's no red line right here because this tank has propane. When this tank goes empty, all the way empty, there'll be a red line that will show up here and it will automatically start drawing off the other tank. But you'll know this tank is empty because there's a red line. So what you'll do, you'll shut this tank off, flip this over to the other side, take this tank off and get it filled. This line will turn clear again because this tank has propane. Once this tank goes empty, all the way empty, this will turn red. It will start drawing off of this tank. And it just goes back and forth like that. Whatever tank you want drawing off of, have that switch pointing towards. Some people point it down towards the center so it draws off both tanks. That is stupid. Don't do that. Have it pointing at one tank. You are allowed to leave your propane tanks on in Ontario as you go down the road. You're not allowed to do Quebec. And there's certain other provinces and states you're not allowed to do that. So just keep that in mind. In Ontario though, we're good to go, leaving the propane tanks on. Still feeling good, Brendan?
Yes.
The corner molds on these Transcends, they use a PVC tape, not putty. So you don't have to worry about putty oozing out over time. But you do want to inspect the caulking in through here. Make sure there's no voids or cracks. Keep an eye on that because that's your primary defense against leaks. So you want to get an angle on this, Brendan. There's like a clear silicone in there. Make sure you look at that, inspect it. They do a really nice clean job. If you have any doubts about it, clean it off, go over top it again with another bead of silicone. That's your primary defense against leaks. There's also PVC pipe. There's 4 layers of seal there. That's your primary defense. Right here we have our baggage doors. The Transcend doors are keyed with a 751 key. It's a generic key. Everybody's got it. Keep that in mind. Make sure when you're closing these doors, you're locking both sides. If you just lock the one side, this side's going to leak. See how that flexes like that? You got to make sure you lock both sides. Flip that up. Pass-through storage. We have a couple things going on here. First off, we have an outside receptacle. This is GFI protected, so if it's not working, check your GFI inside. GFI is that little reset thing we're going to talk about. Cable, satellite inlet. If you got cable at the site, if you got satellite at the site, bring it in through there. Easy peasy. Battery disconnect. We can disconnect the battery right from here, so we don't actually have to physically take that wire off. I kind of forgot about that when I was talking about that. So instead of taking the wire off, disconnect the battery. That doesn't eliminate the fact that you've got to take the battery inside for the winter. Always do that. Then we have our water hookup. Water's going to come up through the bottom here, through this door, like a water hose, up through the bottom here, and you're going to thread in just like a regular garden hose fitting. If we're pointing at city water, that means we're running off of city water. City water is another way of saying shore water, water at the site. Put that up and in. If you want to fill your freshwater tank before you leave home or as you exit the campground, you're going to bring it up through here, thread it into there, turn this to fresh tank fill, turn the water on, it's going to fill up your freshwater tank. There is an overflow so that if the tank gets full, it's not going to spray out inside the trailer or anything, it's just going to spray it on the ground below the trailer. So you don't have to worry about overfilling your tank. City water connection is if you have water at the site. Freshwater fill is if you don't have water at the site, you're going to fill up that tank. Then there's a pump inside. We're going to talk about it. You flip the switch on for that. It's going to pump water from your tank to all your taps and everything. Both the city water and the freshwater tank operate all the plumbing. But for city water, you don't have the pump on, obviously, because you have pressure going in. For the freshwater tank, you got to turn the pump on. All right. Now, we have 4 stabilizer jacks. There's a crank that's provided with each Transcend. It's a 3/4 inch socket. Bring that up and down with that crank. If you want to cheat, you can get yourself a drill. Put a 3/4 inch socket in the end of the drill. Bring that down. These are called stabilizer jacks. They're not meant for leveling. You do not pick up the trailer. You bring it down till it touches, and then let a corner turn, half turn up to take the pressure off the wheels. You do not lift with these. You take some pressure off. They're not leveling jacks. They're stabilizer jacks. Not leveling jacks, stabilizer jacks. Coming down the backside here, we've got a rack and pinion style slide. I think on all the Transcends.
I believe so.
Yeah, every single Transcend has a rack and pinion style slide. There's very little maintenance here. There's really nothing. If you want, you could sit underneath here, lubricate that gear underneath there with like a lithium grease, graphite or something like that as someone brings in and out the slide. But you'd be a super camper if you did that. It's a great idea, but you don't necessarily need to do that. That's what you do for maintenance. Otherwise, you keep these wipe seals and bulb seals here lubricated. Use a car seal lubricant, spray out a rag, up and down your wipe seal, up and down your bulb seal, keeping those nice and moist, lasting forever. Now, we have our sewer connection. They're labeled, okay? We got a black water tank, a gray tank. Gray handle for the gray tank, black water for the black tank. Black tank is your toilet. Gray tank is everything else. Black tank is toilet, gray tank is everything else. Now, if you have you have sewer at the site, you're gonna leave your gray water open. Let that run out as it happens, right? Easy peasy. You will never leave your black water open. Even if you have sewer there, you never want to let what happens if you leave the black water open, the liquids run out and the solids build up on the bottom of the tank. That's a problem. It'll eventually build up to the toilet. Don't do that. When your tank is full after a week or a weekend or whatever, your black water tank that is, you're going to come out here, close your gray water, open your black water. It's going to flush out all at once. If you, like I said, leave your black water open, that's a big issue. It's also important that you don't have both valves open at the same time, one at a time. What can happen is so much pressure can build up, it will shoot up to your gray water tank. You don't want that. Not the end of the world, but you still don't want it. Now, where it gets simple is if you don't have sewer at the site. You're going to a dump station. You're going to roll up to the dump station, hook up your sewer hose, put that into the dump station hole. Typically, people will will drain their black water first, and then close the black water when that's empty and drain their gray water after. That just cleans out your hose with the gray water. That's kind of cool. Now, on these Transcends, we have a black water flush on every one. So when you're draining your black water, like you're here at the site, draining it into the sewer at the site, or if you're at a dump station, you're going to leave your black water open. You're going to hook up a garden hose to your black water flush kit. It's labeled right here. You hook it up like you would hook up like a standard water hose. Turn on the water, it's going to spray down the inside of your black water tank. It's very important that you have your black water tank open when you're running this. Big deal, okay? Hook up the black water flush kit, have your black water open. That's really important. That's going to clean out the inside of your tank. A lot of people will get one of those clear sewer hookups so that they can watch the sewage come out. When it starts turning clear, then they know they're done flushing their tank. So you can kind of do that. The important thing is here though that you have the black water open when you're hooking up the black water flush kit. These Transcends are mainly 30 amps. Is it 321, 50 amps? I think they're all 30.
Yeah.
If they're 50, that just means they're prepped for a secondary AC. Most of your Transcends are going to be 30 amp service, which means there's a 30 amp cord. I'm using an adapter here. Imagine this is a cord. So this is going to come out 25 feet. We're going to put this in, line up the teeth, then go turn it. On your cord, there's going to be a little nut that you're going to thread onto here. That makes sure the cord doesn't come out. Then I'm using a 30 to 15 amp adapter. These are cheap. You can get these at Canadian Tire. Our service center is going to have them. That's going to adapt it down to 15 amps. I'm doing that because I just got a regular 15 amp cord. If you're plugging into the house or a 15 amp site, you got to use one of these. Not a big deal. You cannot use your electric water heater. You can still use your gas water heater. You can't use your electric water heater or your AC when you're using this adapter. Okay, putting that all back on. This is going to plug in. It's going to operate like your receptacles, your microwave, your AC, all your 110 related things. Otherwise, all the 12 volt stuff is going to run off the battery we've got hooked up at the front there. We've got ourselves a ladder. I talk about every one of my videos. Get up on your roof, check your seals every 90 days. We've done a video on roof maintenance. We're going to drop that in the link down below. You got to be checking your seals. If you don't check your seals, your trailer's going to leak and it's going to fall apart. It's not good. Check your seals every 90 days. We've got a full-size spare. Like on some trailers, you have aluminum rims on the trailer, steel rims on the spare. This tire is exactly the same as the tires we got on the trailer. We're going to talk about the tires, but it's a spare tire. We have an outside shower in the front storage compartment. No? No, you're right. Thank you, Brendan. You're extremely helpful. There's no outside shower. There is an outside spray port right here. There's a blue slinky-like hose. You're gonna fit into here. It's like an air fitting. It is tough to put in. You have to really push it in as you push the sleeve back to thread that on. Just cold water. The biggest issue with this is that people forget to winterize it. So when you're winterizing your trailer, don't forget to winterize your outside spray port. There is plugs that come on this bumper that will come with the trailer. Most people store their sewer hose in the bumper. Do what you will with that. Let's talk about leveling the trailer because we're not using the stabilizer jacks. When you're gonna bring your trailer onto the site, you're gonna level it side to side first, this way. The way you do that is with the tires. So let's say we're low on this side. We're gonna drive up a piece of We're going to put a piece of wood down and then drive up on that piece of wood. That's going to lift this side up. Once we're level side to side, we're going to take it off the truck, get the truck out of the way, and then use the front power jack to level it front to back. So we do side to side first with the wheels, using wood or shims or blocks or Lynx levelers, that kind of thing. Then we're going to unhook the truck, level it front to back. Then once it's level side to side, front to back, then we bring down your stabilizer jacks. That's important that you don't try to level your stabilizer jacks. I know I talked about that. You can just get like those little stick-on levels here on the side, on the front. I like using an actual level, putting on the floor of the trailer. This is your furnace vent. Don't touch it. Don't put screening over it. Don't cover it all. Propane appliances are not supposed to be restricted anyway in the venting. We had a comment about that. Right here we have our outside speakers. There's an on-off for those. There's an on-off for the porch light. If you want to have a TV on the outside, this is a cable outlet. It's not satellite. Cable outlet. So if we run cable in on the other side, we can hook up to the TV, plug it in down here. This is another GFI related outlet. So if this isn't working, it's because the GFI inside's kicked. Tires. We got ourselves steel rims, which means we crank these down to 100 foot-pounds. When you get home, that first couple trips, you should be torquing your lug nuts, and you torque them in a star pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't just go around. You torque those in a star pattern to 100 foot-pounds. You should be doing that. They'll be torqued when you pick up the trailer, but after your first couple trips, you should torque them down again, just like any tire place would tell you to. These are nitro-filled tires. I don't know if you want to use nitrogen to fill up your tires. Most people don't. I think it's simpler just to put air in there. You want to have these set at the maximum pressure. Different Transcends are going to have different size tires, so the pressure will be different each one. Look on the actual tire. Go to the max pressure. I believe on the 14 inches it's 50 psi, but just read it off the tire. That's the safest thing. Look at your tire. Have up the max pressure. Most of the time when you have a flat or uneven tire wear, it's because you've underinflated or overinflated the tire, so make sure you keep those at the pressure they're supposed to be. We're gonna have a Suburban water heater on all the Transcends for 2023, it looks like. There is a switch down here. No, it's gone. There's no switch anymore, Brendan. Good. I'm glad they got rid of that switch. That's great. Okay, that's exciting. There used to be a switch down there for safety. They've gotten rid of that. So now there's just the switches inside, which is great. So if you want the electric water heater to flip on, flip it on. If you want the gas one to flip on, flip it on. That's awesome. We have an anode rod here. This is also the plug for the water heater. So when you go to drain it, you need to take this tank out, this anode rod out, and drain the water heater. We talked about that in winterization videos. That's important. But this doubles as an anode rod and the plug for the water heater. This looks nice and clean. It's a sacrificial anode rod. What can happen, or what will happen over time though, is hard water is going to break this down instead of breaking down the inside of your tank. They say you're supposed to replace this every season. It's like a $10 part. You should probably replace this every season. When you take this out in the winter to winterize your trailer, it's going to look all ratty and crappy. Replace this. It's an 1/16 socket. You do have to use some kind of pipe dope or Teflon tape to thread that in because it's pipe thread. A lot of people cross thread this. Don't do that. Doing good, B? Yeah. Your arms tired?
A little bit.
Brandon's got a big camera with a big knob on there. Oh, one other thing. I see people touching this pressure relief valve. Don't do that. There's supposed to be a natural air gap on the top of your tank. That gets rid of it. Do not touch this. That's designed to kind of drip if it once it comes to temperature. Once it comes to temperature, it's supposed to stop dripping. Don't touch your pressure relief valve. Don't plug it either, for goodness sake. Really, the only thing you're touching here is that anode rod or the plug for winterizing for the winter. Now, we were talking about filling your freshwater tank in your convenience center at that front baggage compartment. Let's say you don't have an end on the hose. Excuse me. You can fill your freshwater tank right here. Just a gravity feed, stick the hose in, turn the water on. Once it's full, there's an overflow right here. It's going to splash back out at you. That's to fill your freshwater tank, not your city water connection. Pretty straightforward right here. Your stairs will get stiff because these are steel. You want to lubricate these with Teflon grease. Also lubricate your front coupler and lubricate your door locks. Those over time will start to corrode and break down, so you want to keep those all lubricated, working nice and smooth. Use a Teflon or a graphite, like a dry lube, so that dirt doesn't stick to it. These fold up and in nice and easy. They won't work that well if you don't lubricate them, so lubricate your steps. This is that blue slinky hose that's going to fit in for your outside shower, outside spray port thing. That's your baggage, your handle to crank down your stabilizer jacks. And this is your 30 amp cord. Pushes in, tightens that knob down. 30 amp on the outside. If you need to adapt it down, use a 30 to 15 amp adapter. I don't know what this is. Jeff, Laurentian, send us a message from Grand Design. Tell us what this is for. Want to take a break for a second, Brendan?
Yeah.
Okay. Right on, folks. So we gave Brandon a little bit of a break. Now we're gonna press on. I did forget about talking about the solar and stuff, so it's good that we did. So on these Transcends, they have a 165 watt solar panel that collects our sun juice, comes down through some wiring here to our charge controller. Our charge controller is in our pass-through storage, and you can see that right here. There's really not much for you to do here, okay? You have a selection. You can select either an AGM battery, a sealed battery, which is what we have, or a lithium battery. And the charge controller, once you select that, will operate on that battery. If you get yourself a lithium battery aftermarket, switch that to lithium by putting that selection button. Not a big deal. It'll be set for when you pick up the trailer, but if you switch it up, you may need to switch that up. Because lithiums, they charge at a different rate, okay, a higher voltage. Anyways, here we have a digital display, which is actually showing us how much amperage we have coming off the solar panel. Our solar panel, all it does is charge our battery. It doesn't operate anything, it's just charging our batteries. And it's putting around 4.5 amps into that battery right now. I can click this amp this middle button here, and it tells me how many amp hours I have. AH, 3.5 amp hours. This battery that I put on was kind of a crappy dead battery, so right now we just have 3.5 amp hours. Okay, then I can check the percentage of the battery. It's only at 3.5%, which is quite crappy. So anyways, we can switch through that, flip over to voltage. Right now, because we're plugged in, it's giving us 3.7 volts. If I unplugged it though, it goes to true reading of the battery. But that's how you can kind of see that digital display down and through there. You want to talk about the awning?
Yeah.
Okay, you good here?
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's talk about the awning. The big thing with awnings is they're not warranted if a windstorm picks up and flips it over the trailer. It's also not warranted if rain picks up and collapses the awning tube. The awning is meant to be used in very, very light rain and no wind whatsoever. So if the wind catches it, pulls it off the trailer, it's not a warranty item. Don't call me with that. To bring out the awning, we come up here to our convenience center, in and out, extend. It's going to come out about 8 feet. I think we have enough room here, Brendan. What do you think?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's okay. We're going to get the majority of the way out. Basically, it comes out about 8 feet. There's a little valance that starts to hang down.
We're going to close. Just.
So basically, you're supposed to bring the awning out as far as this valance hanging down at 90 degrees. No further. Like I said, put it away in wind. Put it away if it's raining hard. If there's a little bit of rain and you want to pitch the awning one way or the other, you can do that right here. You just collapse this arm. I'm lowering this side of the awning to let water run off this side. Make sure you put this back up and straight for when you retract the awning back in. For cleaning your awning, these Transcends are a black, which is great. It's gonna be easier to keep clean. But you don't use any harsh cleaners at all. Just like a multi-purpose cleaner to keep that clean. There's a film on there. If you break that down with some kind of harsh cleaner, it'll start to mold time after time after time again. So use a very mild multi-purpose cleaner like Windex, Fantastic, something like that. Not dish soap, nothing that's gonna have a degreaser action to it. And then yeah, just put it away. If you're going for a walk for a couple hours, put the awning away. We get a lot of issues like that. All right, come on in, Brendan, while I bring in this awning. I'm gonna shut the door here so you don't pressure washer in the background. Thanks, buddy. The table, you have a free, like a dinette here. That can be up or down for when you're traveling down the road. Obviously, down is going to turn into a secondary bed. We have theater seats there, Brennan.
You do.
Okay.
The recliners.
Yeah. There is an option here for a couch on these Transcends. That couch is a trifold style sofa. Ask your salesperson to show you how that works. It is pretty straightforward. Some safety things. We always have a fire extinguisher by the door. That's for putting out fires if you didn't know that already. We have a smoke alarm above your head, Brendan. That has a 9-volt battery in it. You need to, if the battery gets low, you need to change that. And then we're going to have a carbon monoxide detector. Again, its own 9-volt battery. And that's typically located in the bedroom. And then there'll be a propane detector down near the floor. Have you seen that yet, Brendan?
No. Yep.
Okay. So that propane detector is wired right into the trailer. So if your battery starts to get low over time, that's going to start to beep once every 30 seconds. That's not an alarm. That's just letting you know the battery's getting low and it can no longer detect propane. Also, if you're cleaning with some different kind of stuff, that can set that off too. So just think about it. If that starts going off on you, it might be something you've just been doing in the vicinity. We have our radio right through here. Radios are pretty easy to use. We have up and down for the volume. We have a zone 1, a zone 2. Zone 1's inside, zone 2's outside. You can bring HDMI, USB, that kind of stuff. Read the manual on this, but it's a radio, and you can also bring some auxiliary into there. Is that good enough on the radio?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. TV's right here. We have a booster in behind the TV because there's a digital antenna on the roof here. So this one is cable or antenna where it's hooked up right now. This one will be for satellite. So if you've hooked up satellite on the exterior at the front there, it's going to spit out here. You're going to go from there to your receiver to your TV. That's specifically for satellite in the one location. Doesn't go to the bedroom, doesn't go outside. Satellite's for the main living. Cable is right here, and it's also TV antenna. If you want to turn the TV antenna on, you push that red button. See that red light? That's boosting the signal on the digital TV antenna. If you have that on and you're trying to watch cable, it's not going to work. You have to have that on for the antenna, off for cable. Feel good there, B?
So you have to have it on when you're watching the cable?
You have to have it on for when you're watching the TV antenna.
Okay.
Okay? Off for when you're using cable itself.
Okay.
Awesome. We'll talk about the propane stuff here in a minute. What else here? Let's talk about this whole panel here. That's the easiest. That's the most complicated. We have an in-out for the slide. It's got a clutch, so when it goes all the way out, it just makes that clutch noise. When it's all the way in, it makes the same kind of clutch noise. Pretty straightforward stuff there. There is a manual override on these, and that's underneath the trailer. Maybe we could talk about that at the end. We have an on-off for your ceiling lights, on-off for that porch light I showed you, and then your water pump. If you have water at the site, you are hooked up to the city water connection at the front that we talked about, you do not need to have the water pump on. The water pump is only for when you don't have water at the site and you filled your freshwater tank either through that gravity feed or through that hookup at the front, we turn the water pump on. Okay. Gas or electric water heater. It's labeled right here. You can either run this on gas, you can run this on electric. Before you kick it on electric, you need to make sure that you have hot water, so you have water in the water heater itself. If you kick this on, you run the risk of burning out the element on the water heater. So make sure you have water coming out of your hot water taps and water in your water heater. For gas, on and off, nice and easy. If you go try to light your water heater as you just arrived at the campground without lighting up your burners or other propane appliances first, it sometimes won't light because there'll be air in the lines. So always light your burners, your stovetop first. Now, these Transcends have a siphon kit on the water pump, and we're going to find that. So I just turned the water pump on. I can hear it. I think it's coming from here, man. Nope. Oh boy, we should have planned this part out, buddy. I'll kick it on again. Just from there. Shut up. This trailer's echoing, Brandon. There it is. So, every model, the water pump's going to be in a different location. Okay, so this is where it is on the 260. Obviously, not where it's going to be on every single model. Why I'm showing you this is because right now we have our water pump, okay, and that's sucking from either this open line or it's sucking from the line that's on the water heater. See this valve here, Brendan?
Yep.
That's pointed to the line that's running to the water tank, right? So now it's going to suck from the tank. If we're going to winterize, we point this valve towards this open line, put that into a jug of antifreeze. We've done a video on that. Always check that though when you're starting your trailer up for the first time in the year. So we'll have that turn towards the tank. As we turn the water pump, it's going to pump water from the water tank itself through the pump to all of our taps. Okay. Then we have a water heater, Brennan. Where was that on the outside? Was that right there? Yeah.
It was on this side?
Yep. We're showing off the anode rod.
Right. Yep.
So, the water heater has a bypass, which is what we're going to look at next. And again, water heater is going to be in a different location on each model. I think it's right underneath this boot here, judging by where we saw it on the exterior of the trailer. And I think I'm right. These are all Robertson bits. Which you Americans don't know too much about, but Us Canadians invented those. So we have our water heater right here. So right now, water is coming in the bottom of the water heater. And actually it's bypassing the tank. See how the valves are pointing towards this line, Brennan?
Yeah.
For operation, you need to turn these valves, it's a little tight there, towards the tank. And now, when you hook up city water connection or the water pump, it forces water in the bottom of the tank and out the top. If I have them this way, it's pointing them towards the bypass, and that's for winterizing. But anyways, make sure those are in operational position, and you have water coming out of the hot water tap before you try to light your electric side of your hot water heater. Is that a good enough explanation there, Brendan?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now that we've torn the whole trailer apart, let's talk about the burners. This will often take a few seconds or so to get propane to the actual burner.
Yeah.
Well, you hear the air. You don't hear propane yet. There's air in the line. This is the first time this is being lit, folks. So always light your stovetop first before you try to light your furnace, your water heater, anything like that. Get the propane to the burners first before you do anything else. Shut those off. These are not heating appliances. Do not use these to heat the trailer. The furnace is what you use to heat the freaking trailer. Okay. Then we have an oven down below. We turn this to light here. Hold this in. Spark it. You don't have to use a lighter anymore. Use the actual physical sparker. And this is such a small gas line that this might take a minute. Yeah. Get in there, Brandon. Can you see it? There's a small pilot light there at the back.
I'm not sure.
It's right here.
Yeah, I think so.
So as I'm holding this button in, I'm going to release it, turn this to whatever temperature I want. And now you're going to see the full flame on the oven. You can leave it on pilot if you want. Most people just shut it off. Okay. Key there though is light your stovetop first. You don't have to use your lighter anymore. Microwave's a microwave. If you don't know how to use one of those, don't buy a trailer. Okay. Now the fridge. The fridge is a 12 volt fridge. This is new in the last couple of years. The last Transcend video we did not have a 12 volt fridge. I plugged this thing in what, an hour ago?
If that, yeah.
And there's already like frost coming out of here. This is why people have switched, or they've switched to a 12 volt fridge. Now there is a fuse on the front of these fridges for the new generation. And sometimes if something's going to go bad, it's most likely that fuse. Okay, we'll pause there, take this apart, and come back. Folks, we're getting really technical here. I don't know if anyone else is doing this. So, there's two screws here holding this vent on. And there's a fuse right here. This used to be on the back of the fridge, I've been told. Now it's at the front here for the new generation. If the lights are on the fridge but still not cooling, that could be this fuse right here. If you want to, sorry, not if you want to, there is a, how do you say, like there's a board here that if the water, sorry, if the battery gets below a certain voltage, it will shut off that board to save your battery. To reset that board, you have to be plugged into shore power, so full power. Take this fuse out for 5 seconds, put the fuse back in. That should reset the board. Probably talk to our service department about that before you start doing that. But if they're talking about a fuse in the front of the fridge, that's what they're talking about right in through here. We'll put that back when we're done. Let's take a look at the washroom, Brendan. You feeling good overall?
Yeah.
Okay. Our washroom typically has our GFI plug. There it is right there. So if your outside receptacles aren't working or your kitchen receptacles aren't working, it's because that's kicked. We got a sink, we have that kind of stuff, that's easy. Leave water in your toilet bowl, because the water in the toilet bowl itself keeps the stink from the pipes in the tank out of the trailer. There's no like S-trap like you have in a household toilet, so you gotta make sure you leave a little bit of water in the toilet bowl, and you do that. Pardon me, golly. You do that by just touching the foot pedal. It's gonna shoot water in, but not open the bowl. Then when you push the foot pedal all the way down, it opens the whole bowl. So always leave water in the toilet bowl. The shower itself, that's pretty straightforward. This is kind of something that jumps back at you, so just be mindful of that. We have a shut off on the shower head. So if you have the water where you want temperature wise, you can shut it off here, lather up to save water, turn it back on. That's kind of slick in through there. We have a vent over top here. These don't come with max air covers from the factory. That's a great accessory to add through our service department or buy off Amazon if you feel like installing that yourself. Man, it really feels like I torn apart this whole trailer. I think more or less the last thing is the AC and the furnace, eh?
Yep.
I said I was going to talk about something on the outside.
Yeah, the ring sliding. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that in a second. So, it feels like we're running around here, but we're doing good. Brandon, you're doing great with the camera.
Thank you.
Thermostat is a Furion thermostat. This says, changed. They'll switch this halfway through the year, that kind of thing, but they always work the same. To turn it on, you hold the on button. Blue light comes on. The on and off button is also the mode button. So we can adjust the mode by just clicking that. See how it's flipping through all these? So if I want to run the AC, I'll go to AC. Then I can adjust the temperature on the up and down buttons. Right now it is warm today, so we're above 71 degrees, so the AC is on right now. If I want to shut the AC off, push the mode button again, go to furnace, up and down on the temperature. We're obviously above 68, so I have to go all the way up. I don't know if I can get it high enough. We'll see. But the AC just shut off. Furnace came on. You hear the change in the fan there, Brennan?
Yep.
Okay. Folks at home, I hope you heard that too. We can push another mode for fan. That's the fan on the AC. You can control the fan speed. You can just circulate air. So remember on the outside when I mentioned you can't run the AC if you're on 15 amps. You can still run the fan on the AC just to circulate some air from the trailer if you want to do that. But you can't run the AC itself on 15 amps. And then to shut it all off, we're just going to hold the on-off button here. That's pretty straightforward. Just don't want to miss anything inside before I go out there, Brandon. I feel good though.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go aside, find the manual override for the slide. I hope it's there, otherwise I'm a liar.
Right here?
Yep. So basically you take that same jack handle that you use for cranking up and down the stabilizer jacks, put it in through there, and that will operate the slide out in or out. I hope you enjoyed this Layzee Acre orientation video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends that have Transcends. Hopefully we're in your business. Have yourself a good day.